Hey there, Chris Ferdinandi from GoMakeThings.com here with another Vanilla.js quick tip. So today we're going to be looking at a few different ways to loop over objects, some of the pros and cons of each, and which one I think is best. So here I have an object assigned to the wizard variable, and we have a name, a tool, a signature spell, and an age. We want to loop over each of the items in this object and do something with them. In our case, we're just going to log them to the console, but in a proper app or website, you might be doing something a little bit more. The classic way to loop over an object is a for in loop. So with a for in loop, you define inside some parentheses, you write for, and then you define a variable for the key in the object. So in this case, I'm lazy. I'm just going to call my key variable key. And I'm going to say for let key in wizard. And then inside our loop, we can get the value for that key by using bracket notation with the object. So in this case, the value variable is going to be the item for that key in the wizard object. And then I'm going to log both of those into the console. And if we jump over to the browser, you can see I get name, Merlin, tool, wand, and so on. One of the nice things about a loop like this is that you can use the continue operator to skip over certain items. So in this case, I'm saying that if the key has a value of signature spell, we want to skip it and just go to the next item in the loop. And we'll do the continue operator to make that happen. If I jump over to the browser and reload, you can see now signature spell never gets logged, but name, tool, and age do. Alternatively, you can use the break operator to end the loop entirely. So here I'm saying that if key equals signature spell, stop the loop altogether. We're not going to do anything else. And if I jump over to the browser and reload, now name and tool and their values get logged, but everything after that does not. And if we jump over to our object, we can see signature spell is the item that comes right after tool. So that and age never get logged. So that's one way. It works relatively okay. Having to use bracket notation to get the value is kind of annoying, but it works. Another option, one that I think is about on par, is to use the object keys method to convert your object into an array of keys. And if I were to log this to the console, you can see what we get back is this array with name, tool, signature spell, and age. And one of the benefits of this approach is that you can then use array methods to loop over each item. In this case, I'm going to use a for of loop, which honestly is about as useful as a for in loop, not inherently any better with the object keys method. But to get the value, I'd do the same thing. I'd use bracket notation on the object. But with the for of loop, you're defining the value of each item of the array. So I'm saying let key of my array of keys, and then in here I can get the value, and I can console log the key and value into the browser, and same output, name, Merlin, tool, wand, and so on. Just like with a for in loop, you can use continue and break to skip or end items. You could also use something like array for each. So I could say keys for each, and do something like this. I would still need to use bracket notation to get the value of that item. I could use any of the array methods. So array map, etc. Whatever, whatever works for you there. So that's another option. And let me actually comment both of these out just so we can stop the console from getting quite so cluttered. The last option is the object entries method. And so this works a lot like object keys. You pass in your object as an argument. What it does, though, is it returns an array with all of the entries, both the key and the value. And so you get an array, and each item in that array is itself an array where the first item is the key and the second item is the value. So let's jump over to the browser. You can see what I mean here. So we have this array of arrays, and then each item is the key and the value. Name, Merlin, tool, wand, signature, spell, disappear, and age 172. What I really like about this approach is you can use any of the array methods just like before, but let's say we were going to use, say, a for of loop. I can now use array destructuring to get the key and the value right from the get-go. So I don't have to do anything special. I don't have to use bracket notation to extract that value from the wizard object. I can just get them right as I'm defining the loop, and then I can log them to the console. So if I had to pick one of these approaches to use, I think the object entries method with a for of loop is probably the most straightforward and easy to do. Again, you could also use any of the other array methods and use some array destructuring as well. But I just think that object entries is the easiest way to loop over an object. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe even share it with someone else who you think might enjoy it. You can also get my daily developer tips newsletter over at gomakethings.com, where every weekday I share a new tip, trick, tool, or Vanilla.js snippet to help you build a simpler and more resilient web. Thanks so much for watching.